Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in another video today. The Houston Texans lose to the Eagles, and the Texans final score 29-17. By the way, Texans are 1-6-1 now, and the Eagles are 8-0. You know what? It's okay because right now Eagles fans are very happy that they beat us, but at the same time, they are very upset that the Phillies lost to the Astros. So in one way we lose, and one way we win. So, I guess we end up taking the W when it comes to the fans' thoughts of perspective. Over the NFL teams, the Texans feel pretty bad right now. But when it comes to fans, the Philly fans are the real ones who are hurting right now. Because, the Texans, they knew that this was... Okay, I'm done talking about that the connection between Philly and Houston teams. Okay, we're done with that. But yeah, I was actually surprised about how the way the Texans played in the first half. They had a really good first half, and they kind of, they played decent a little bit in the second half, just quieted down a little bit. I was impressed with Davis Mills in the first half. Was a little bit impressed with Davis Mills in the second half as well. There were some flaws that should have not been happening. There were some things that the Texans did that should have not been doing, and there's some things that the Texans did that I liked that they did very well. So we're gonna go over the scoring summary. Texans drive down the field to start, and in his first ever NFL game, Davis Mills throws a touchdown pass to Tegan Quitornio. I think I'm saying that. There's no way I said that right. If I said that right, I'm going to be over the moon. There's no way I said his name right. Farrenberg makes the extra point. It's 7-0. Then the Eagles take a long drive down the field, 8-minute drive. Miles Sanders gets a 2-yard run touchdown. Jake Elliott makes the extra point. There was a crucial call in that drive that should have been a flag that ultimately the Eagles might have scored a field goal that drive if they called it. But there was this one play to Kenneth Gainwell, who ended up scoring a touchdown in the second quarter, which we're going to get to in a second. He got down to the 2-yard line, or he was down at the 5, and Jason Kelsey, O-lineman, brother of Travis Kelsey, started to push, not push. He was literally pulling Kenneth Gainwell in, which is a 10-yard penalty. Was not called. Texans started arguing with the refs. No call was called, and that could have kind of changed the game. It could have made it a little closer. If you're looking at that, that call has changed. It's a 1-score game. The Texans would have been in it. So that was a disappointing call. But in the second quarter, Kenneth Gainwell scores a touchdown this time, and it's 14-7. But the Texans drive down the field with 37 seconds. Chris Moore gets a 13-yard touchdown from Davis Mills, and Ka'imi Farrenberg gets the extra point. This proves how bad the Texans defense is. With 37 seconds left, the Eagles get the ball back, and the Eagles drive down the field. They get a 54-yard field goal, which ultimately means the Eagles drive down the field 38 yards. They were able to get 38 yards in 33 seconds. That's how bad our defense is. But doesn't matter because Jake Elliott missed a 54-yard field goal, and we go into halftime. But the Eagles get off right back, score a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 17-yard touchdown pass from Jalen Hurts, and Jake Elliott gets extra point. Then, with a minute to go in the third, Ka'imi Farrenberg makes a 30-yard field goal, and it's 21-17. Then in the fourth quarter, 21-17, Dallas Goedert gets a 4-yard touchdown pass from Jalen Hurts. Then Jalen Hurts runs for the 2-point conversion because there's a flag called on. There's a flag called in the extra point. So the Eagles elected to take it to the 1 and run it in. So 29-17. Let's go over passing leaders. Of course, Jalen Hurts had 21 for 27, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns. Davis Mills was 13 for 22. Started off 6 for 6 tonight. 154 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Those two plays by Davis Mills, those 2 picks was not pretty. I don't know why he threw those passes, but get over it. We're gonna get over it. Miles Sanders was 17 carries, 93 yards, 1 touchdown, and Dameon Pierce did not score a touchdown, but what a game for him. 27 carries and 139 yards. Good bounce-back game after having a little bit of a struggle game. Last game he had 23 rushes and 35 yards, so a bounce-back game for Dameon Pierce. Receiving yards, Philip Dorsett was the leader in receiving yards for the Texans with 3 receptions and 69 yards. 8 receptions and 100 yards and 1 touchdown for Dallas Goedert. He was the leading receiving yards. Let's go over the rest of them. A.J. Brown had 4 receptions and 59 yards and 1 touchdown. Devontae Smith had 2 receptions and 22 yards. Watkins had 2 receptions and 25 yards. And Gainwell had 3 receptions and 16 yards. For the Texans, talked about Philip Dorsett. Chris Moore had 4 receptions, 43 yards, and 1 touchdown. He had a good game. O.J. Howard had 1 reception and 14 yards. He had a great catch. Tyron Johnson got his first catch as a Texan, 1 reception, 8 yards. Jalen Camp got his first not only reception as a Texan, but his first touchdown in his career. 1 reception for 7 yards. Both of those guys were targeted twice, but it was good to see them out there on the field. Burkhead with 1 reception for 6 yards. Brevin Jordan 1 reception for 5 yards. And Teagan's I'm not gonna even try to say his last name anymore. This time I'm just gonna say his first name. Teagan with a 1 reception. I got a better idea for him. TQ. Let's call him TQ. TQ with a 1 reception and 2 yards and 1 touchdown. I'm not going to go over all these tackles because there was a lot of tackles, but Jonathan Owens with 10 tackles, 7 solos. Christian Kirksey with 7 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. Christian Harris with a big night, 5 tackles and a tackle for loss. Jerry Hughes with 2 sacks. What a night for Jerry Hughes. He's having a great season tonight. And, I love Jerry Hughes, but I think the Texans, they made a bad decision by not trying to trade him because the Texans could have gotten a useful pick for him because he's been playing so well, and now he might walk as a free agent, so that sucks for the Texans. But Jerry Hughes, what a game for him. He had 2 sacks. And Desmond King had 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. I don't know how to say that guy's first name because it doesn't even say it, just says K. But Hinish with 1 tackle for loss and 3 tackles. MJ Stewart with 3 tackles. And, the Hinish guy also had a sack as well. Where else is on here? What's his name? Where is Christian Harris? Oh, also forgot to say about Christian Harris. Christian Harris also got a fumble out, which the Eagles recovered it. But, Derek Stingley only 1 tackle. Where's Jalen Petrie? He had no tackles. That's weird. And where the Texans recovered a fumble today. Steven Nelson recovered a fumble, but it's not popping up on here. It does not say it. Farron hit a field goal tonight and 2 extra points, but Steven Nelson had Jalen Hurts. Well, Jalen Hurts fumbled and Steven Nelson got it. Or no, Steven Nelson sacked Jalen Hurts, I think, and he got it. But 4 sacks for the Texans today. Decent job by the Texans today. It wasn't enough. They played pretty well against this 7-0 squad, now 8-0 squad. But there was a lot of flaws that the Texans did. There was a lot of things that the Texans did today that were not good, and there was a lot of things the Texans did today that was good, like with the run game, and Davis Mills doing some good things and doing some bad things. But there's a long way until we reach the spotlight. Or that was an awful word to use, but there's a long way for until the Texans get to that get to the point where they are where we got something to be excited about. I'm sorry, guys, but I really think it's going to start to you start to see some bright things from the Texans team every game after next season. Not after next season, after this season, because I think this draft is going to be a huge draft for the Texans with potentially 2 top 10 picks, most likely 2 top 10 picks. Possibly could be 2 top 5 picks if the Browns keep doing so bad. But I mean, this year could be a huge year with the Texans draft, and if the Texans make some good draft picks and then they get John Minchie back and maybe draft another wide receiver, potentially get a quarterback in the first round next year, the Texans can be a whole different in a good way ball team. So let's see what happens. We're going to are we going to New York, or are we playing Washington next? I think we're playing New York. We're playing New York next. So we go down to New York. They've been having a good year. Could be a little bit of a close game because their defense is not the best. But our defense isn't the best either, and run game kills us. So we'll see what happens with that. So that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. And let me know what you thought about the game today. And peace out. Go Texans.